All right, now comes the exploratory part of the lesson. So what we're going to do, a little different from what we normally do, is I'm going to go through two of these. So what we have is we have two slides worth, right? We have this first one right here that I just had on, right? We've got 4 equations, polynomial functions here, and then we've got another 4 right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you kind of just sort of how to put these in Desmos. And then kind of what we're looking for and what I want you to do as a result of them. All right, with that. So let's kind of get started on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to do this one first, and then we're going to do this one second. All right. So on this one, the first thing I do is I want to make sure it's in order. Right, make sure it's written in standard form so that it's greatest to least. All right, remember that's what standard form says. Standard form says greatest to least. All right, that's what we're looking for, and that is in terms of our exponents on our variables, right? And our variable, all of these are single variable, right? So we just got the x, right? And then the y is dependent upon what happens to the x, what we put in for that. So for this one, my degree is 2 because that is the exponent. So this one we have a degree of 2, and the leading coefficient is 3. All right. And now for this one, and then we'll go and we'll graph these in a second once we get them figured out. For this one, I think I want to rewrite this one because you notice how the 8 is the largest exponent of all these, and then the 5 is the second largest. Well, they got this thing kind of written backwards. So let's just, all we got to do is just kind of move things around. We don't have to change signs on anything. You just make sure that you're keeping the terms together. So like that's a term, and this is a term. And so when we write it, we got to include those signs. So we have negative 7x to the 8th plus x to the 5th minus 10x to the 3rd. And so that's what we got there, right? So that is what we are going to use as far as when we put this into Desmos. And so now looking at this, right, my degree on this one is 8, right? And my leading coefficient is -7. So once you have it written that way, they're really easy to work with, right? They're pretty straightforward. So let's go to Desmos and let's kind of see what happens here. So I'm going to put this on here. We'll go here. You should be able to hit that, unlike me, right? Trying. All right, come on. This will probably be a lot easier for you guys, right? One can imagine. All right, there we go. All right, let's learn together. Why don't we? And so I got this. This screen is sort of set up to be a certain way, so it can. So it will work. All right, so let's do this. All right, being a little putty. Now I'm going to move these over so you can see me putting. Well, actually, no, you're not going to be able to see this. All right, not a problem. So I'm going to put in my equation. All right, so I'm going to go f of x. All right, is equal. All right, let me sort of show you what that looks like. All right, f of x is equal to, so 3x to the second power, and then use my arrow, and then -2. All right, and so now when I do this, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my lesson here, and I'm going to sketch this, and you see it kind of goes down to 2, right? And it looks like it goes through like a little before 1. It doesn't matter necessarily about the numbers, just sort of get an approximate feel for what this thing looks like, right? And so we'll just pretend this is sort of our vertex here, and we'll kind of go like that, and we'll go like that, right? So it's centered on this, right? And that's my shape, right? And that's all I got to do. That's all we're asking you to do is just kind of from there sort of get your shape, right? All right, so now if we go back to Desmos again, right, let's put in our second one, right? You can tap this right here, and what it will do is it will make it kind of go away. And even though it says f of x, I'm just going to use a different letter of the alphabet. It doesn't matter. You just can't use x. All right, and so now I'm going to go negative, -7x to the 8th. And remember, I'm using that rewritten version of it with the leading coefficient where it belongs. So it's, if you're looking at it and you're saying, well, this looks different from what's originally on the paper, yeah, it's absolutely different because it because I rewrote it. All right, so I'm making sure I got everything right. Yeah, that looks good. All right, and so let's kind of check this out, right? See what we got here. Well, it looks like it opens down, right? It goes up to almost -1,4, not quite, and then it goes down pretty steeply on the left, and on the right it does this little like roller coastery thing. So let's go to our thing here, and we'll just kind of say this. Oh, sorry, this one. If I got the right one, that would be helpful. We'll just say that's sort of this, and we'll say it goes down kind of steeply here, and then here it goes down and sort of goes over and then down. I'm going to take one last look at it, see if I got it. Oh, it looks like it goes through 0. So I think, you know, when it has defined points like that, where it's obvious where it's going through it, I think we should try to catch those. I think those are worth catching, right? So I'm going to go like this, goes through, and then it bends back. So it's got this little curve in there, goes down, right? And so again, we're just looking at you determining what the degree is, what the leading coefficient is, and then graphing it, and then seeing what's happening with this, all right? And so now for you, what we want you to do is we want you to go through the remainder of this slide and this slide, and it might take you a few minutes. Now, keep in mind, you can type these things in exactly as they are, and Desmos will still graph them correctly, but we do want you to get some practice with making sure you're figuring out what the degree and the leading coefficient are, okay? So make sure you are getting those pieces right. And so when we come back, all right, in a few minutes, once you've done these 6, when we get back, we are going to look at those. Right? We'll look at what's the degree, what's the leading coefficient, and see what you guys wrote for your graphs. Okay, so we will talk to you in a few minutes.